I am live. This is what they say. Yeah, it appears I'm live. If you're here, say hi. I'm not seeing anybody yet. This is my glasses because I hope you can hear me. I still didn't figure out the technical aspect of this. I hope I'm using the right microphone. Not sure that's the case. Can you use the chat? Do you see the chat? Can you use the chat? Part of this live is me wanting to have some more of a conversation experience. So if you're here, say hi and write me in the comments if you can hear me properly. I'm not sure about this, and I don't know why this may not be the right microphone I'm using. Okay. Who's going to be the first to say hi on the chat? Say hi on the chat to make this real. I'm going to wait for more people to go to join this, because I really want to talk about why is it that white supremacist Christians hate Islam and Muslims so much. And I want to break down this hatred, this hostility, this obsession with Islam and Muslims. I want to break it down, and I want to understand its meanings, because I think there's a lot going on there. This is religious, of course, but this is a lot of other things which I want to break down, and I think it's an interesting conversation to have. People are joining, and that's nice. But before I talk about the main topic of this live, which is the hatred white supremacist Christians have for Muslims, and the fake love that they have for Jews, because it is a very fake kind of love. And I'm going to talk about this as well, because it's also interesting. But first I have to say something about the explosion in Iran, in Bandar Abbas, in the Iranian port, and the conversation everyone is having about this, and Western media is pretending like we don't know what's the meaning of this, or who done it, who blew up one of Iran's main ports. Who could it be? And this is indicative. I mean, obviously Israel and the US, or the US alone with Israel, probably Israel alone, with the patronage of the US, caused this sabotage. Israel has been doing sabotage, committing sabotage acts in Iran for for a long time. But this kind of weird and fake conversation that they force on us, we are supposed to not know what's going on. And this is how Western media treats Western people and treats all of us and confuses us. Um, they always talk and talk and talk about things that are meaningless when we all know the answer to what's going on. They're doing the same thing with the genocide. They sometimes report on it, and sometimes they don't report on it. And they report on certain angles, on certain incidents. But the actual meaning of what's going on, the actual truth, an actual moral judgment of what's going on, because this is the main thing. This is why we have communication. This is why we have media. This is why we have language. To understand the moral nature of things. This is the basic of a shared human existence. But the way Western media handles communication is really meant to go against this. It is to baffle us, to confuse us with constant talk about nothing. And we're always supposed to not know what's going on. This is like the whole purpose of this operation. Never know what's going on, never understand what's going on. I really hope you can hear and see me okay. And I really hope someone will say something on the live chat. So you're welcome, and you're welcome to ask questions and make comments. I want this to be as interactive as possible. But this is like a general introduction to this topic that I want to talk about. Part of Western civilization and part of Western culture is to have constant talk and conversation without any bottom line. The conversation is the main thing. The fact that the TV is on and the streams and the live streams go on just like I'm doing now, and the podcast, this is the main thing. This is the purpose of this whole apparatus, this huge, gigantic apparatus, the very existence of platforms for just talking and talking and talking. This is a fake culture, a culture of empty rituals that go on and go on and go on and repeat themselves forever, with no conclusion, with no bottom line, with no actual reckoning, with no actually understanding what we're doing, where we're going, why we're doing this, why are we the way we are, can we be any different? This is the kind of conversation we are never having. And this explosion in Iran is just an excuse to talk about this, because this is such a main feature of Western culture. But why do white Western supremacist Christians hate Muslims and Islam so much? I have been thinking about this for a long time, because I think that the contrast between the white Christian society or Judeo-Christian, because it's not entirely Christian, it's Judeo-Christian. We should separate between Judeo-Christians and Christians the way we should separate between Judeo-Muslims and Muslims. Okay, Judeo-Christianity and Christianity are not the same things. The same thing. I'm not a religious person, and religion is not my thing, and not something I think about a lot. But I like to analyze the religious sentiment and to understand what stands behind it, and what political and philosophical and social elements it serves. So the contradiction between the white Judeo-Christian society and Muslim society, and trying to understand why they hate Muslims and Islam so much, and why they incite so much panic about Muslims, about Muslim communities, about Muslim migrants. No, there are certain very obvious truths about this. I mean, obviously, it's a different religion, so we're supposed to hate it. So Christians, Judeo-Christians, I have to remind myself this all the time. Judeo-Christians are supposed to hate Muslims because they are from another religion, which is in itself already stupid, because if you believe in one God, other people who believe in one God similar to you are much closer to you, are supposed to be much closer to you than people who don't believe in one God, than people who are not monotheistic, or people who believe something completely different. Sorry. So we have to hate Muslims because they are another religion. And also, of course, there's the question of race. Muslims are usually brown people. Islam is a brown religion. Unlike Judaism, which has taken on the Ashkenazi appearance tragically, sadly, but that's the case. That has been the case for a long time. Islam is a brown religion of brown people. So there's the racist element there, but these are like the two obvious things. Religion and race or skin color are like the two obvious things, but I think it goes a lot deeper. It starts to be interesting when we go deeper than that. To go deeper than that, we need to think about how white supremacist Judeo-Christians see themselves and see their civilization, which will help us to understand what they see in Islam and Muslims that they hate so much. And what is it about this that makes them have this fake love for white Jews? So how do white supremacist Judeo-Christians see their civilizations and their character? How do they see it? If we look at colonial Judeo-Christian Europe and the US and all the small colonial projects, we can easily see what their self-image is. They see a society that is very, very almost sterile. It is clean. I mean, the aspect, the appearance of a society and how we broadcast it and advertise it it's organized around cleanliness. We are clean from sin. We are clean from bad qualities. We are clean from corruption. We are clean from anger and ugly, what they think of as ugly human feelings and emotions. This is a very sterile society. This is like the main thing. Very sterile and clean, sanitized, but also extremely orderly and organized. Everything is extremely organized. Everything in society, everything in our mind, there's a clear order to everything. There is up and down, there is left and right, there is right and wrong to every phenomena. This is the white supremacist Judeo-Christian vision of a society. This is how they see themselves. This has nothing to do with actual reality. I mean, and this I have to add to the conversation. This is all perception. this is all imagination and fantasy. This has nothing to do with reality. All this identity and and religious wars and the image of a civilization, this is all fantasy. This should get people hospitalized. This gets people hospitalized in normal circumstances. Still, we have to analyze it to understand what motivates it and what characterizes it. And like the what we're going through right now is a great example of how all of this happens in the white imagination, in the white fantasy world. Because look at the corner the US put itself in. It's like Don Quixote. They actually imagine stuff and react panically and urgently to stuff they imagine. They imagine China is ripping them off. So now they have to go to war with China. I mean, China is the most, I don't want to say the most, one of the most peaceful nations on this planet. It's not attacking anyone. It never built an army to go attack someone or colonize. Taiwan is, let's put Taiwan aside. China is not a violent actor on the global stage. On the contrary. Still, the US put itself into this almost deranged state about China. China has become the new menace. And now they have to deal with China. This is all the white imagination. China is no threat of this kind to anyone. You can say they are an economic rival, a cultural rival, all those things, but this is all fantasy. Same thing with, Trump is fighting with the whole world, basically. Africa is a menace. Russia is a menace. The Middle East, Islamism, everybody is a menace to the purity and righteousness of white civilizations, white supremacist Judeo-Christian civilizations. I mean, how can it be? How does it make sense that the whole world, like 10 different major cultures, all hate one group because they are crazy and not that group? But the US nevertheless put itself in this position where China is a huge threat and Russia is a huge threat and brown people and black people and Pakistan is a huge, and Malaysia and Indonesia and the entirety of the Middle East, almost everyone except their white supremacist children of Israel. And the US is like creating its own panic and reacting to this panic, which only happens in its mind. I mean, the rest of humanity is now looking at the US like you look at a crazy person shouting on the street. This is the US right now, creating a huge scene, and no one knows why. What is the meaning of this? Except it's not a crazy person on the street, it's a superpower with atomic weapons and navies and soldiers and all that. So the power of the imagination is very strong with these people. They live in a fantasy world. So when I talk about how they see things, I don't mean that I give any credence or meaning or actual weight to what they think. I only give any kind of importance to this because their behavior is informed by their fantasies. Because if they imagine that the Houthis are the new menace, they have to fight the Houthis. They have to fight the Houthis. So they go and bomb them. This is translated from fantasy and fears and panics they created themselves into bombs on people, on families, on children, on country after country after country. Nevertheless, white supremacist Judeo-Christian cultures have this image of themselves as very orderly, very clean, and extremely well organized and not corrupted. It's like a pharmacy. This is how they see themselves. It's like their psyche. Because what they say is on the outside is what they imagine is on the inside. So this pharmacy of a civilization, which is surrounded by wild animals who have no logic, no sense, and only want to harm us. This is how they see things. Basically, this is like a caricature of white Western psyche, but it's not in like completely exaggerated, just maybe a little bit. As an aside, I have to say this: everything I say, one of the reasons I know white psyche so well is because as an Arab Jew, as a Mizrahi Jew, I have observed white Jews, Ashkenazi Jews in Israel, and how they behave, how they talk about themselves, how they think about themselves, what their image of themselves is as reflected in how they talk about other stuff. So I had many years of observing this phenomena of how white colonial cultures think of themselves, which is one of the most fascinating and insane things you could imagine. So my experience, my lived experience as an Arab Jew, helps me a lot. I really hope you can hear me, and okay, everything is okay technically. Or it could be just me talking to myself, which is understandable in the culture that we live in. Anyway, this pharmacy, this imagined pharmacy of a civilization, righteousness, orderliness, virtue, okay, morality, righteousness, all this stuff, and a constant state of being threatened, intimidated, envied by other cultures of very bad people that want to take what we have. Okay, we got all that. And another dimension to this is the nature of the white Judeo-Christian religion and how they see religion and Judeo-Christianity or Christianity and God. Not sure I can talk too much about this because this is like a different conversation, but this plays into it as well. Now, when those people look at Islam and look at Muslims, what do they see? What do they see? They see in Islam and in Muslims the exact opposite of what they imagine about themselves. Islam is the religion of brown people. Islam is a religion, it's a brown religion. It's an Arab religion originally. It's been adopted and spread to many other places. But it started, and most of Muslim believers to this day are Arabs or Asian people who are also not white. So this is already a problem. But also, Arab societies and Muslim societies are everything that is the opposite of what Judeo-Christian society tells about itself. This is not a society that sees the biggest value in being organized, cleanly, clean of sin and corruption, and it is not a sterile because it is brown also in its philosophy, because it is native and indigenous. It's not an intellectualized construct imported from somewhere. Islam and Muslim communities are not obsessed with this. They don't have this obsession with orderliness, cleanliness, structure, hierarchy. I mean, what Judeo-Christian societies created through this obsession with separation, division, hierarchy, everything is right or wrong, black or white, high or low, left or right, and so on. They created basically the most miserable and isolated societies. Everyone is depressed and anxious. Everybody is on antidepressants. But Arab and Muslim societies are the opposite. It's not a societies of isolation. It's societies of people spending time together. It's a society of families and communities, of streets filled with people. Whereas the street in Judeo-Christian societies is almost a place no one wants to be in. They hate the street. They want to go home. In Muslim and Arab and Middle Eastern societies, the opposite is true. They want to be outside. The outside is where life is. You want to mingle with other people. You are not afraid of other people. It is natural to be with other people. And Judeo-Christian supremacists look at this culture and it horrifies them, because a society of people, a community of people that associate easily with one another and have strong connections and are not obsessed with separation and hierarchy, it terrifies them. It creates a society of people which are much harder to control and isolate. This is the point. Islam is a communal belief. Muslims always, and it's not just Muslims in a religious sense, it's a culture, it's a civilization. It's true for Arabs, it's true for everyone from the Middle East, basically, and many other parts of the world as well. This obsession with being pure and clean and alone and righteous and only have yourself, this is a very white Judeo-Christian thing. Most of the world is not like that. But Muslims are especially not like that. So this big, happy, unorganized community, which has spontaneity, which has life, it has movement. It is not just one people living in their own path without ever like crossing anyone else, which is like the dream. This is the pharmacy dream. Everyone is kept in a box of their own. This is why Judeo-Christian culture. Let's separate and atomize society. This is not the Islamic or Middle Eastern or Arab. I use these terms almost interchangeably because they do overlap to a great degree. So they see Muslim migrants in Europe who have a community, who have families, who have a dynamic way of being in this world, and it scares them. It is the opposite of everything they like and they want. It is a life, an existence that is not sterile. Now, what makes matters worse, as I've said before, Islam is a brown religion. Islam is the religion of people, and this is historical circumstances, okay? Islam is the religion of the oppressed. Islam is not the religion of the dominant force. And this is true like throughout Islam. Islam almost everywhere is the religion of the weak, the economically weak, the politically weak, the more rural communities, the more reputationally attacked communities are more Islamic. Whereas the Judeo-Christian, the white Judeo-Christian philosophy or religion is the religion of the dominant force. It is the religion of the strong, the powerful, the rich, the one with control over the media and the narrative. But what Islam does is give those marginalized people a sense of meaning and a story and a kind of a flexible organization, not the strict, hierarchical, sterile organization of a Western society, but a flexible organization which is dynamic and it has meaning and it allows movement. Islam is giving those people, the same people the Western society wants to dominate. Islam is giving those people a story that allows them to resist. And this is another big reason to fear Islam and Muslims. White, Western, Judeo-Christian society wants to isolate and atomize people. In order to do that, it needs to deny them community and a strong sense of identity and affiliation in life and any strong connection. The culture, the political culture, the dominant forces control your psyche completely and make you a liberal or a conservative. They can't do it to Muslims. They can to an extent, but it's a much harder challenge because Muslims do have a counter narrative, a counter story. They have not only a religion, but they have a religion of the oppressed. They have a philosophy that teaches them to resist, that teaches them to hold on to their identity and their story. And it is almost natural for Islam and Muslim believers to be in a weaker position. They are not scared by it. They are not scared by it. I mean, white cultures cannot even imagine not being dominant. They get into a total panic. But for Muslims, it's not such a threat. They can take it. They have the philosophical and emotional, psychological, social means to deal with this reality. So this is another reason for this white society to be afraid of Muslims. It is a brown society. It is a society not built around sterility and cleanliness and all this nonsense. It has community. And it has a different story which contradicts our own. And it's a strong story. It's not marketing. It's people feel it, live it, exist this story. It's a real strong story. So of course they are going to be terribly afraid of it. This is brown people with all the mess, quote unquote, brown people make, because they don't want to live a sterile, separate life. But it's not that they are not organized. They have a different story, which has more authenticity than our own. Because what is the white Judeo-Christian colonial story? It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. It has no actual core of solid meaning to it. It is just marketing and self-delusion and image. And another thing that Islam and Muslims societies and communities have, and the West hates, the West really hates this. Islam, and now I'm not a Muslim, but I have lived next to Muslims and with Muslims, and because of my religious background, I also have some theoretical and intellectual understanding of Islam from reading about it, from being exposed to it, from being exposed to Arab culture and Islamic culture. And now I know that what I say is only partly true and needs to be qualified, but I think that it has a lot of validity to it. Islam as a concept is a philosophy that has justice as part of its vocabulary. Muslims understand justice. This is part of it's almost natural, and also because Muslims are brown people, and who have been colonized, who have been treated badly by bigger forces. Justice is instinctive to Islam and Muslims. It's easy to recognize it, and it's easy to hate. It is a concept. It's a valid concept in culture, in philosophy, in theology. But pay attention to this: the West doesn't have justice. Judeo-Christianity doesn't have justice. There is no justice. They don't speak in the name of justice. They only speak in the name of power and domination and money and control and numbers and Elon Musk and this billionaire and that billionaire and so on and so on and so on. This is not the kind of culture and language that Muslims and Islam understand and like and connect with. Islam understands justice, and this is why Muslims, now I know Muslim communities have their own problems. I'm not getting into this. I'm not idealizing anything. But I do recognize what is there. And this is part of the reason why Muslims are the best resistors of oppression. It is almost impossible to subjugate them. Look what Israel has been trying to do to Palestine and to Gaza. The reason why Muslims are so good at resistance, I mean Muslim people, not the governments, not all of this, it's because they understand justice and injustice. They understand it is part of their consciousness. It is there always. They understand it. And the West won't have it. The West hates it because a discourse of justice topples the whole colonial structure. They can't have. And if you look at the British culture and British politics in the UK and also in other places, the people who speak for morality, the people who speak not only on Palestine is a huge issue. but on a range of other issues as well. You'll see an overrepresentation of Muslims, and especially Muslim women, because they understand justice and injustice, and it's natural for them to speak up. It's a lot more. Uh, it's almost effortless. It's natural. It's not something unusual. The West hates it. So you have brown people, disorganized, with community, with a different meaning and a different story, and an understanding of justice. This is a disaster. This is a disaster for white supremacist Judeo-Christian culture. It is a disaster. And the one last thing I can say about why the white Christian, Judeo-Christian society hates Islam so much is that Muslims, and not just the very religious Muslims, in general, they actually believe in God. Their religion, I'm not a religious person, but I recognize and I acknowledge and I know when I see a believer, they actually believe in God. Whereas in Western societies, the whole Judeo-Christian bunch, it's just bullshit. They don't believe in God for real. They don't believe in God. They are not real believers. And this also scares those fake colonial types. Because the Muslim faith exposes them. Muslims have God, and those types don't have anything. They just have an image. And one last thing I have to say about this is that the Islamic civilization, Muslims have a memory which contradicts so much of what the Judeo-Christian culture tells about itself and the way it tries to market itself. I mean, the Islamic civilization remembers the Crusades. They were there. They saw it. They wrote about it. They documented it. It is a living memory almost. They, not only the Crusades, all the acts of colonization, all the cruelty, all the barbarism, all the sadism of European colonialism. They have witnessed it. They know the story. They have been in Palestine and Lebanon and Egypt, throughout the Middle East. So when the Judeo-Christians go around and try to spread this false image of themselves as the one who bring peace, stability, democracy, all this nonsense that they tell about themselves, Muslims look at them instinctively. You don't need to be a philosopher. Instinctively, what are you talking about? It's having a witness, someone who knows your criminal past, in the room with you when you're trying to convince everyone you are the most beautiful and remarkable and moral person anyone ever met. Of course they're going to hate it. Of course they're going to hate it. They want a world where their version of history and the fake image that they try to spread about themselves is the only thing. This is the only formal history. But Islam has a whole different account of history and a whole different memory. and living lived experience. You can't have that. You can't have that. So there are so many reasons to this hatred of Muslims and Islam, which really penetrates the fragile and fake Judeo-Christian identity or story, which I hope I kind of help to shed a light on different angles of this. It's the race and color scheme. It is the community and family that they don't have and they hate because they want to create an atomized society of people who are alien to each other. And this doesn't make any sense in an Arab or Islamic society. In a Muslim society, in an Arab society, people don't go walk the street like terribly afraid of each other, the way like people are in Western societies, the way people are in the US. So terrified of strangers, so terrified of talking to everyone or being addressed or being asked a question. This social political psychological structure doesn't make any sense, where Islam is like, and I don't mean Sharia, I mean in a cultural civilizational way. This whole way of being, of isolation and anxiousness and fake hierarchy and fake image and fake history and supremacy. Muslim communities and Muslims make a mockery of this. When those racists go to Arab Muslim streets in the UK or in France or in other places. I went in Berlin to a neighborhood like this. I mean, I traveled Europe. This is a funny story. I traveled like 15 years ago. I traveled like for 6 months. I traveled through Europe from one country to one city to another. And it's an interesting experience, but you can immediately see when you communicate with white Europeans that it's not the same. It's not the same kind of communication that you have with Arab people from the Middle East. It's different. And I was like traveling for months, and I could almost never feel that I really meet and touch someone, make a human connection with anyone. The first time it happened to me was at a Lebanese restaurant in Berlin, in the center of the most Muslim street and Muslim neighborhood in Berlin. I don't want to say the name because my German accent is worse than my. I think it was Kreuzberg. And the owner of that restaurant, I told him I was from Israel and I wasn't as radically anti-Zionist as I am today. But he was from, I don't remember if it was Maroun Aras or Marjayun, I don't remember. But I told him I was from Israel because I don't lie about this. And he shook my hand so warmly and he said my name, Alon, which is not easy for Westerners to say. And the food was amazing. And I was thinking, this is so funny. I'm traveling through Europe, and the only place I feel a touch of home is when in a Lebanese restaurant. When the Lebanese owner shakes my hand and says my name and like treats me so cordially, so warmly, because this is how Arabs are. This is this culture. So when the Ben Shapiro's or the other idiot or the Douglas Murray, whatever his name, or what's the name of that idiot psychiatrist? I forget their names, and I'm so happy about it. When they go and see this, when they go and see a street where women are wearing hijabs and there are restaurants with actually delicious food, and people walk around in groups, and you can see families and communities and a mosque. Oh God, a mosque. It do you understand how terrifying it is to them? Because it is the first time they meet life. This is someone yanking them out of their imagined fantasy, imagined pharmacy they live in, and slams life onto them. They can't take it. It scares them to death. And this is what they hate. This is what they hate. Now I want to say something about why those types, the radical right wingers, I have to look at my comments. Where are the comments? Why don't I see any comments? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, anyway, why do those white supremacists suddenly love Jews so much? What is the deal with that? Historically, they never loved Jews, to say the least. They really hated Jews more than any other group that they met, more than Muslims, more than Slavs, more than Asian people. They really hated Jews. What happened? That this incarnation of the white supremacist right wing, which is fascistic, neo-Nazi, they do this. These idiots, retarded idiots. Why are they suddenly so in love with Netanyahu and Netanyahu's son and Israeli intellectuals, mashallah, and all that? What's the story with that? What's the story with that? And this is where I think the people who are leading Jewish political life at the moment are really, really, really not only evil, but really stupid. Because what's going on here? The last time around, when those white supremacists try to take over the world, basically, the West, which is the world to them, the rest only has resources and savages. When they try to destroy the Jews as part of their fantasy, creating their fantasy civilization, they couldn't do it. And they were destroyed reputationally for almost a century. They did kill a bunch of Jews and created a lot of destruction, but at the end of the day, as a movement, they have been damaged, severely damaged. So what they figured out was, if we really want to take over the West and take over the world, we need to not fight Jewish power. We need to use Jewish power. We need to use Jewish power to our benefit. So how do we do that? How do we take those Jews that we tried to destroy and annihilate 80, 90 years ago and convince them to join us and help us take over the world? We tell the Jews, go to Palestine, you go to Palestine, kill the Arabs, we don't care about the Arabs, okay? Kill the Arabs, all the Arabs you need. And we will help you achieve what you want. Exterminate Gaza, take over the Emiratis, Egyptian, whatever you want. We'll help you. We'll help you. We will cater to your megalomania. We will help you. But you will also help us take over our societies. This is the deal. This is how, through pandering and catering to Zionism and Jewish supremacy, they have pulled Jews and Jewish power and Jewish billionaires to their side. Now the Jews are helping American fascists and white supremacists take over the US and take over the entire West. And who knows what they're preparing next. And for those idiot Jews, this seems like a good deal. The same West and the same fascists, white supremacists that like persecuted us, wanted to destroy us, are now working for us. They are now our slaves. We will use their power to destroy the Middle East and kill all the Arabs we want. Fucking amazing. This is the best deal ever. What they don't get, those idiots, is that it's not that the white supremacists really started loving Jews. This is a ploy. This is how they make sure the Jews do not obstruct their way to power. This is how they lure Jews over to their side. But once they took over society, what do you think they will do with Jews? Will they let Jews, those white Jews, those idiot American Jews, do you think they will let them stay in power and be their bosses? Of course not. Once they finish taking over Western societies, once they have risen to such position of dominance, the first people they will fuck up will be the Jews. Because now the Jews will be isolated. Now the Jews will be isolated. Now the Jews will not be part of society and with society. Now Jews will be that power that help them to gain dominance. And immediately as they achieve this dominance, they will look at all their supporters, their white supremacist supporters who don't like and don't love Jews. And they will tell them, we are not suckers. They didn't fool us. We fooled them. We fooled them. The Fourth Reich will get to power by using Jewish power. This is the genius devilishness of their scheme. And Zionist Jews are only falling for this very transparent trick because it doesn't make any sense that American white neo-Nazis are going to start cooperating with Jews. Are you fucking stupid? Why would you fucking imagine that? It doesn't make any sense. It's obvious that something sinister is going on there. This is not a natural alliance. But the only reason it's working is because those Zionist, idiot Zionist Jews have started, they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. They want to dominate the Middle East and dominate Western society so much. They are not seeing that they are being led into a fucking disaster. They think it's real. They think they mean it. I don't want to say names because I don't want to get in trouble and get sued by specific individuals. But those people are not in love with strong, dominant Jews. They are not. They are poisoning the very corruptible. By the way, I'm going to do a propaganda for myself and send you to read the essay in the attached link in the description of this YouTube, because I've gotten some amazing comments and response to it. And it is about how come the Jewish collective has reached this low point. What has led to it? Because I'm recognizing it is a Jewish, I don't want to get in trouble. It is a Jewish, sickness is not the word I want to use, but it's good enough. What we're seeing now with the genocide and the support it gets from very, very wide Jewish circles. So this is what I wrote about in this essay that I'm talking about, how we got here. But this deal between two forces that don't belong together, because remember, the ones with actual power are the white supremacist Christians. They are not the Jews. Israel is not the strong partner in this relationship. It may seem like the dominant partner from time to time, or maybe most of the time now. But it doesn't have real power. Israel cannot fight anyone without the US. Israel doesn't have the weapons. It doesn't have the money. It doesn't have the diplomatic umbrella. It doesn't have the connection. It doesn't have the trust. It doesn't have the reach. It is a white American power that gives Israel this reflection of power. And they know it. The white supremacists, the American quote-unquote patriots, they know it. It's very easy to know and see. So when this alliance expires, the Jewish side of it is going to find itself in an extremely difficult and problematic situation, because not only will they fall out of grace in terms of the place they took in society and the power they gained, which will suddenly, because you sent us to war with Iran, you sent us to all this. Why? People are going to ask that. And it's going to be so easy to start asking, why are we supporting you so much after Israel? Read the Jews, because this is what it is about. This is what the Zionist idiots don't get. After this genocide, it is going to be so easy to throw Jews under the bus and kick them in the ass. It's going to be so easy. They have done it to themselves. Israel has done it to itself. No one did it to Israel. No one forced Israel to exterminate the Palestinians on a live stream genocide. Israel did it to itself. And people are not going to forget this. And this wide support from the greater Jewish collective. When the time in the US is ripe for an actual reckoning of what happened. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy and natural and instinctive to blame the Jews. It's going to be so easy. So by pushing Israel, by the way, I'm sure it's the same calculation guides European white supremacists in the closet and out of the closet. They are supporting Israel. They are focusing blame and hate on Israel. This is what they're doing. They don't care that Palestinians die. Don't get me wrong. They love it. They love to see brown people suffer. But getting Israel, getting the Jewish state, getting the Jews to appear monstrous and abhorrent and to be hated, this is a dream achievement to them. This is something that they would find extremely hard to achieve in any other circumstances, because all the natural defenses against anti-Semitism would reject and resist this. If things were normal and someone would come and say, go hate the Jews are terrible, most people would say, we don't want this craziness again. Don't start with this. We know where this leads. But after this genocide, this is no longer the case. It is the resistance to this kind of message is going to be much weaker. It's going to be much weaker. And this is how the white supremacists have been able to fool. And I'm not removing blame from the Jewish side. I'm just adding stupidity to their evil. Because they completely missed the political and cultural meaning of what's going on. Now they have incriminated themselves in the eyes of all of humanity. And if they drag the US to war with Iran, with all the devastation that it's going to cause, when people in the US start asking questions, those white supremacists are going to be ready with answers. They are going to be ready with answers. They are ready. They are ready. It is not just them being subservient to Jewish power. They are seeing their goal in what they're doing. It is not lost of them, the real deeper meaning of what's going on. And this genocide has been so memorable in the worst way. In the worst way. I mean, the images we've seen, people are never going to forget this. And I think we are all going to be surprised how many people who never said anything also don't forget anything that they have seen and we have seen. Everyone is going to remember this. Everyone is going to remember how much support this got in Israel and from the wider Jewish collective. And when things become rough, it's going to be as easy to blame the Jews as more than it has ever been in history. So the depravity, the unbelievable depravity of Zionist Jews in pursuing this non-stop, insane mass murder of children and babies and women and everyone and everything. And they go on, and every day, they are trying to make sure There isn't a single human being that doesn't hate them to the depth of their being. And people are not going to forget that. And white, formerly Judeo-Christian, because suddenly, and this is how I finished this life. After the consequences of the last 2 years finally materialize, and it's going to happen. It's they're delaying it and pushing it down, but we're gonna get there. And after this happens, they are not going to call themselves Judeo-Christians ever again. The Judeo part is going to be moved aside. They are going to be only Christians. They are going to be only Christians. This whole Judeo-Christian nonsense. I mean, I have to say something about this. I mean, for a millennia, Christians persecuted Jews, tormented Jews. They hated Jews the most. They incited against Jews the most. While the Muslim world, while the Islamic civilization accepted Jews, let Jews live. Muslims never genocide the Jews. I said it many times. Jews in Morocco were not harmed. They were not destroyed. No one genocided them. It's the Christian civilization that did this to Jews. So where did this Judeo-Christian nonsense come from? It should be Judaism as a religion is a lot closer to Islam than it is to Christianity. The idea of God in Judaism is much closer to Islam. It's almost identical. It has nothing to do with Christ. Muslims believe in one God. It's singular, it's one. They are monotheistic to the extreme. And Judaism is really built around this, while Christianity is different. Or this Father and Son and Christ. So what is this Judeo-Christian nonsense? This is so stupid. Anyway, it's a matter for a different live or a different video. I haven't seen a single comment. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm still new at this. I'm still new, period. But I really hope you enjoyed this. And if you want to ask me anything, because I'm not seeing, this is so annoying. If you want to ask me anything about this, want my comment or response, you can comment on YouTube or on my Twitter, which most of you probably know. I'm going to add a link in a comment on YouTube. So thank you very much to everyone who's been watching this. I hope it wasn't too long. It was okay. And I'm going to try to do more live streams from time to time because I need to feel interactive. I don't want to lecture. I like talking more. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm sorry if I did something wrong and we can't have chat for some reason. So I'll try to sort this out for the next time. Anyway, thank you. I'm signing out now. See you next time. Bye-bye.